On July 8th, the moon in Taurus locks into a hard square with Pluto in Aquarius. And if the ground under your comfort zone feels strange right now, that is not your imagination. It is the signal. This is not a soft cosmic nudge. Taurus wants to hold on. Pluto refuses to let it. And something in your life that was built on survival instead of choice is already starting to crack. Here is the part most people miss. The comfort zone that once kept you safe may now be the exact wall standing between you and the love, the visibility, and the freedom you already outgrew it for. 3 things are about to break open. Your illusion of stability, what your body has been trying to tell you, and an old attachment quietly losing its grip. Because none of this is ordinary. So why does this particular day cut deeper than an ordinary moon day? Start with the mechanism. The moon in Taurus wants one thing above all: rootedness, sensory safety, the familiar chair, the familiar routine, the familiar arms. But Pluto in Aquarius is standing directly across from that craving, and it asks a question Taurus does not want to hear. Is this stability real, or is it control you dressed up as peace? Here is what makes Pluto dangerous in this position. It does not explode. It works slowly, underground, surgical. It doesn't shatter your life. It reveals what was already hollow inside it. Now add the amplifier. Jupiter in Cancer is building toward an exact opposition with Pluto on July 20th and 21st. And on July 8th, you are already standing inside its shadow. Growth pressed against control. Visibility pressed against fear. And the moon is waxing gibbous, not release, not yet, just pressure rising toward the surface, where your body feels it first. And here is where it stops being about the sky, because your body has already been keeping the record your mind refused to read. You are tired in a way that sleep does not touch. The comforts that used to steady you, the routine, the food, the familiar scroll, the arms you reach for, they are not landing anymore. Something in you has quietly stopped being nourished by what used to feed it. Then comes the irritability with no clear target, a low, restless friction, and underneath it, a truth you have been politely postponing. A place, a role, a dynamic. It no longer fits the person you have become. Feel this next part carefully. The relationship you stayed inside because leaving felt more dangerous than shrinking. The math is changing. Staying is starting to cost more than going. That fatigue is not weakness. It is not instability. It is the exhaustion of holding a version of yourself in place, sometimes a version that required your own disappearance to feel safe. This is not anxiety. This is your body telling the truth first. And Pluto does not ask permission before it surfaces what you buried. So here is what this Taurus moon is about to force to the surface. Not all at once, in 3 separate breaks arriving in sequence. First, your comfort zone cracks. What you called security starts revealing what it actually was: repetition, control, or fear wearing the mask of safety. Second, the body stops letting you argue. The resistance you have been talking yourself out of becomes physical, undeniable. You will no longer be able to rationalize what you feel. Third, the old attachment loses its grip. A person, a place, a routine that once felt permanent quietly stops feeling necessary. Here is what most people miss. These are not 3 events. They are one release arriving through 3 different doors. And Pluto does not create the break. It reveals the break that was already there, waiting. Let us open the first door. But before you open it, you need to know exactly where you are standing. Rewind 2 days. July 6th and 7th. Something in you was reaching, a desire to move, to connect, to expand past your own edges. Your body leaned forward before your mind gave permission. That was the impulse, the energy pushing outward. Then July 8th arrives, and the reaching hits a wall. The Taurus moon whispers one thing: I need to be safe. But Pluto in Aquarius answers with a question that cuts deeper. Safe according to whose terms? Whose comfort have you been protecting? The 2 are now in direct conflict, and you feel it as pressure with nowhere to go. Here is why that pressure matters. Look toward July 20th and 21st, when Jupiter and Pluto reach their exact opposition. That is the culmination this moment is building toward. What surfaces today is not the ending. It is the first honest paragraph of a longer chapter. So understand this. You are not in chaos. You are in the compression right before a real choice becomes unavoidable. Now, the first door. The first door opens onto something you built with your own hands. And here is the uncomfortable truth this Taurus moon is pressing against your chest. Not everything you call comfort was actually chosen. Some of it you survived into. The Taurus moon loves what is known. The same bed, the same route, the same voice on the other side of the room. But when Pluto squares that need for sameness, it asks a question the familiar cannot answer. Was this yours? Or did you simply stop leaving? Look closely. The relationship that required you to stay small so someone else could stay comfortable. The household or community where you traded your real self for the safety of belonging. The routine that numbed you and called it peace. None of it collapsed randomly. Pluto does not break what is solid. It only exposes what was already hollow underneath the paint. So feel the crack forming and understand what it is. Not punishment, not failure, information. Because a comfort zone and a cage look identical from the inside. The only difference is whether you chose the walls or just start touching the door. And once you see that difference, something else starts moving. And once you touch that door, your body already knows what your mind has been arguing against. Here is why. The Taurus moon rules your physical relationship to comfort, sensation, appetite, the animal instinct for what is safe. When it squares Pluto, that instinct stops whispering and starts speaking. The body begins registering what the mind has spent years smoothing over. Notice the signals, the tightness in your chest before a certain conversation, the exhaustion that no amount of rest can touch, the quiet dread that rises before walking into a space that used to feel like home, and the strangest one, the sudden, physical inability to pretend you are okay when you are not. That is not anxiety attacking you. That is years of self-adjustment finally refusing to be adjusted one more inch. For those of you who learned to manage your presence just to stay safe, to soften your voice, edit your truth, perform ease in rooms that never fully held you, that labor did not vanish. It stored itself in muscle and breath, and now it is done storing. So ask yourself this: if the body already knows, what was the mind protecting you or the thing you were afraid to leave? So what was the mind protecting? An attachment. And here is where Pluto does its quietest, deepest work. Pluto does not order you to leave. It simply removes the illusion that staying is the only option. Suddenly, what felt permanent, inevitable, load-bearing, reveals itself as a choice you have been making, over and over, in the dark. Watch for it in specific places. The person you held on to because losing them meant losing belonging. The dynamic where you kept yourself small so the connection could feel stable. The group that accepted you but never fully saw you. And for those of you who built survival into your closeness, hear this carefully. Some of the safety you created was real, and it was sacred. Chosen family kept you alive, but some of it was survival wearing the costume of love. Pluto is asking you to tell the difference, because love and control are not the same thing, no matter how long they have shared a bed. Here is how the release actually feels. Not a door slamming, not a rupture you have to justify, just a quiet noticing they no longer feel like home the way they used to. That noticing is not abandonment, that is arrival. And what arrives next changes everything. And here is the part almost no one notices. This is not random bad timing, it is precision. Look at what is actually happening in the sky. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer right now, its most powerful placement, the sign where it governs everything about emotional belonging, home, roots, and what nourishes you. And it is moving toward an opposition with Pluto. exact around July 20 and 21. When those two meet across the sky, your entire foundation of belonging gets X-rayed. Here is why July 8th matters so much. The moon squaring Pluto is not a separate event. It is the body of that larger opposition, making itself felt early. You are already standing inside the opening compression of a transit that peaks weeks from now. And notice the phase. This is a waxing gibbous moon, energy building toward full expression. What is cracking quietly now will clarify under maximum pressure later. So hear this clearly. The universe is not punishing your need for safety. It is honoring that you have outgrown the version of safety you needed when you were smaller. This tremor is preparing you for something. So what does the other side of this pressure actually feel like? Let me make it real. The first sign is quiet. The old pattern stops pulling at you. That familiar thing you always circle back to. The person, the routine, the story about who you have to be, it just stops being magnetic. You didn't force it away. The fear underneath it simply lost its grip. Then space opens where the old attachment used to live. And here is the surprise. That space doesn't feel empty. It feels like room. Room for honesty. Room for someone who never needs you smaller than you are. Watch for the third signal. Saying what you actually want stops feeling like a risk that costs too much. The internal calculation shifts without any announcement. You just find yourself visible, and it doesn't terrify you. Because this is the love release. It was never a person arriving. It is you arriving. Real love becomes possible the moment you stop protecting the self you built to survive. So here is the truth. This whole transit has been circling. You did not land on this message by accident. The Taurus Moon striking Jupiter and Pluto cracked something open, and that crack is not happening to you. The comfort zone that once kept you alive is now the only wall between you and the love, the visibility, the freedom the sky keeps promising. And none of it was waiting for the right moment. It was waiting for you to stop calling survival a safe place. You already outgrew it. The door was unlocked the whole time. Now you choose. Comment "I choose freedom" if you are ready to stop mistaking survival for safety. And if this landed, stay close. The next update is part of the same arc.